But I think it's kind of important to see some fucked up behavior. Because we're not done. We're still in some sort of emotional and psychological and even physical evolution. We're in the middle of this thing. And I think that bad ideas facilitate comprehension. Like these really shitty ideas that a lot of people have, what they do is they facilitate a comprehension of why we think dumb shit. And sometimes you don't know why people think dumb shit until you see someone over and over again that thinks dumb shit. And you get to see that whether it's Alex Jones or whether it's who, fill in the blank.
Okay.
What guy do you want deplatformed?
Yeah, but I don't. Okay, so here's my thing. I want a lot of our leading experts deplatformed.
Okay, well, you're going deep.
What I think is we have a crisis in expertise. Institutional expertise is at an all-time low. Nobody really trusts any of our institutions to be an authoritative source of ground truth. It's not to say that everything that the institutions say is wrong or everything the experts say is wrong. Far from it. It's just that there are almost no experts or institutions that aren't willing to distort facts in order to pursue institutional goals. I don't actually want to deplatform these people, but I do have the very strong sense. You know, when Elon came on your show, and Peter Thiel, my friend and boss, came on Dave Rubin's show, I thought that was quite a moment where this alternate network of distribution, which is not under centralized control, started to be seen as comparably powerful and important. And I think some of the noises that Tucker Carlson just made to Dave Rubin about, well, hey, you're doing this out of your garage and you have the freedom to do anything. And I'm beholden to the structure in which I live.
Yeah.
We're at a very interesting place with respect to what is this thing, this alternate distribution network for ideas that's unpoliced by the institutions.
About YouTube.
And, you know, I think I've been convinced in the last 2 days that I need, you know, this is advice that I got from you at the beginning. You said you need to start a podcast. But we have to return to some kind of stable sanity that I'm positive that the institutions can't return us to, because the institutional interests really have to do with the fact that certain kinds of growth on which they're predicated, their existence is predicated, have evaporated. So all of these institutions are extremely vulnerable to corruption at the moment. And the real revolution, as I'm seeing it, is that high agency individuals are out-competing traditional institutional structures in terms of mind share. And some of those high agency individuals are irresponsible. You know, they're like Milo types that are kind of trying to light things up. And some of them are extremely responsible. And some of them, you know, will do a few irresponsible things, but will self-correct. And this new world that is being born is a huge check on the institutions, but it's still largely separate. Like, am I right that you don't do a lot of network television?
I don't do any anymore, but I used to. I mean, that's how I became famous in the first place.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I don't do it anymore. But it's also because there's nothing fun out there like this. Like, there's no place for this.
Right.
Other than this. This is the only place you could do this.
But isn't it interesting to you that we still have not, like, Jordan had to be dealt with by the mainstream because the book was too big. His effect was too large.
I think his effect on the internet is bigger than the book.
Yeah.
I think the YouTube videos and the debates that he has, the one that I was telling you, the recent one, the interview with GQ.
So interesting.
It's really good. The woman's very smart, but she gets trounced. And it's because he's been in the trenches with this stuff for a long time. I mean, he's fighting a very strange fight of dialogue and of interpretation and of discussion and the freedom of intellectual sovereignty. You know, there's a lot of people that want you to think a very certain way and use certain words and say certain things. And it doesn't matter whether or not you are in fact racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever. There's a weird battle of control going on. That it's at the heart of it as much as it is a battle of inclusion and diversity and strengthening our overall progressive mindset. There's a little bit of that too. But there's also an undeniable game that's being played. And people want to win. There's scores that are being scored. There's points on the board. They're throwing in new agents. They have teams going at it. And whenever Jordan goes on one of these conversations, these video interviews, and there's a feminist and Jordan Peterson, like, there's a fucking game going on. We're watching a soccer match. We're watching a wrestling match. This is jiu-jitsu. They're playing intellectual jiu-jitsu. And Jordan's really good at tapping people. He's really good at it. And they're getting pissed. They keep sending in new chicks. If you're compelling people to behave a certain way, compelling people to talk a certain way, and we're not talking about, you know, compelling people to not commit crimes or violence. We're talking about weird things like compelled pronouns.
Okay.
And
so if I take your analogy, because you brought it up, that he's like doing jiu-jitsu.
yes,
So in some previous era, and I thought your description of the early days of MMA was fascinating, that we just didn't know what fighting was. So we didn't know who would win or what systems worked. And if you think about the mainstream media is like Aikido. It's some system that maybe has some validity in some very rarefied context, and it comes into general purpose fighting systems, and it's dismantled very quickly. So now we have this weird situation that we've got this new world of kind of rule-laden, anything goes discussions, more or less, and the mainstream world doesn't want, like the Aikido world doesn't want to acknowledge that this weird UFC type thing is happening. How long does that go on for?
It goes on for as long as it takes. And this is similar to, I think, what's happening intellectually. And this is one of the reasons why I don't think you should stop people from expressing these bad ideas. It's one thing for stopping people saying, hey, we need to kill black people. Stopping people saying, we need to kill white people. We need to kill, fill in the blank, whatever the group is. Yeah, that's different. You're clearly stepping outside of the realm of civilization and into war and violence. And we could all collectively decide, and we should all collectively decide. We should have ethics together, like whether it's right or left or in the middle. We should all decide, hey, you can't do that. Because what you're doing is you're calling for violence against someone who's not committing any violence.
Can I pause you right there? Because
Yes.
I think there's a really interesting point.
Okay.
Let's assume that we know that behavior needs to be down-regulated in some way. You can try to silence the person, where we just physically duct tape them so they can't say anything.
Right.
We put them in jail. Don't give them access to the media, et cetera, et cetera. Or we can shame them, or we can kind of take them aside. At what layer of this sort of communication stack
It's a very good question.
because I think one of the things that we haven't done is to positively say, we agree with you that this speech is offensive and it is potentially dangerous, but we think it should be down-regulated differently than the deplatforming option.
Well, the deplatforming option, the real issue is there's only a few different avenues for these people to express themselves publicly.
Okay.
Right? And the argument that's really strange is, should these be regulated like a utility? Or should they be thought of as private businesses get to decide what's on their channel, essentially? Like, it's almost like a private NBC that everyone can broadcast on.
What if it's none of the above? What if the problem is we're trying to pretend, is it like a dinner party? Is it the public square? Is it a utility? And it's none of these things.
I think these ideas,
Okay, now I'm going to stop here. There are certain words that you can say that will shut people off, like a light switch. If I say the word patriot, then half of the people that are left-leaning out there, just their eyes roll back and they're gone. Boom, they hit the X. Their eyes turn into X's and they're gone. If I say socialism, the word socialism in any sort of positive context, and all the people that are sort of right-leaning out there, their eyes roll back and they hit the X and they're gone. So that's and that's the name of the game. That's what's happened out there. The game is all about shutting down communication. So what they're really talking about here is this thing about deplatforming and censorship and stuff like this. And the question is, where are we? When you're talking about YouTube, where are we? Are we on the public? Is this the public square, or is it a dinner party? When you're in a dinner party and you have a drunken, raving person who's really sort of ruining the party, you are able to kick them out because it's ruining everybody's good time. The bottom line is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And the needs of the many, there's a conversation that we need to have, an unbridled, an uncensored, unmonitored discussion that we need to have. And when somebody comes along and says, for example, well, like he's saying, talking about killing a group of people or something like that, somebody needs to have the ability to take on that argument. So what is the argument? Somebody comes on and says they want to kill all black people, and then your response to that is, well, are there any black people that you like? And if you follow these people around, that I've actually seen some people, they would say things like, well, I'm not a racist, I'm a separationist, and the clothes that they wear are fashions that were invented by black people. And they wear the garb of a thug, and it's like and you point that out. You say the clothes that you're wearing. That style was brought to the fore by black people, but you want to be a separationist. So, and it's you just got the conversation in the public square has got to include all the dumb ideas. But the dumb ideas, there are a lot of the average education out there. Okay, television is designed for people. Television in the newspaper is written for somebody with written for somebody with an 8th grade education. And newspapers used to be a lot better than they are now. And it has to do with subject matter. When you avoid subject matter, people don't get educated. One of the things that a newspaper is supposed to do is educate people. You're being educated about what's going on. You're being educated about the state of the art and everything. So, and you can't educate people if you censor out things because you're blotting out parts of the conversation. We need, like Joe Rogan says here, we need to hear the dumb shit. We need to hear the dumb shit. And so the question really comes down to, and he's talking about, well, what is YouTube? Because YouTube is the second most accessed website in the world. It has an incredible reach. And what's really going on, frankly, and they're talking about policing, the policing of ideas, the policing of speech. What's really happening is you're seeing the rules of television being applied to YouTube to level the playing field for the benefit of the big players, because they're the ones who are losing the money. They're the ones who are losing the control. And it's really all about being able to control to being able to control a commodity. That YouTube maybe at one time was a democratized source, was a democratized resource, like a clean running river. When some arguments could be made that pollution is really exists as much as it does, so that the big players can monopolize a democratized resource. So now you can't just go down to the river and put a pipe in there and pipe that water into your house and just drink the pure water that's running out of the stream. Now you're going to have a water filter. You're going to have a utility to clean the water for you. You got to go through the monopoly. You have to buy your stuff from the man. You can't just go out and get it yourself. Right? And that's YouTube. YouTube, maybe at one time, was a democratized resource where you could put your stuff on there and your face and your ideas could just sort of go viral, and because it was based on popularity and how many clicks you got and this and that, and the machine. And people would learn how to work the machine to their benefit and make money doing that. Sort of, I don't know if the right word is co-opt or, they had the computer skills, the programming skills, or the knowledge of how the machine works in order to be able to fool the machine into getting more views than they actually should have gotten. And YouTube, I guess, is trying to address all of these things. But YouTube in general cracks down on leftists way more than it does on people on the right. He references Jordan Peterson. Well, ain't nobody cracking down on Jordan. You can see Jordan Peterson all day long on YouTube. He gets plenty of views, and and all these people on the right. There's nobody. They're not being censored. Steven Crowder.
Of change my mind, unedited conversations on controversial topics.
No, he's not monetized. And here's the question. Okay, here's what you don't know. What we don't know. We don't know if he was demonetized or if he just didn't monetize it himself, right? Does he need to be monetized? Does he get paid? Does Steven Crowder, and by the way, Steven Crowder, both of these guys, Steven Crowder and Joe Rogan, are actors. They started out as actors. So is this guy an actor playing a part and getting paid for it? Right? Producing this narrative of right versus left. It's public relations for the super rich, telling you that there's actually a war going on where your freedom is at stake. Your ability, your ability to just be a man, to have your identity. You're not, the war is against white male identity. So these guys are the defenders of white male identity. White male non-gay identity. So Joe Rogan's a little bit different. He doesn't care about the gay thing. He's got the libertarian thing going on, and all that's cool and everything. But your ability to, your freedom to just be you, as a average white dude, is being impinged by the social justice warrior, third wave feminist types that want to control your speech and everything. By the way, side note, pronouns, the use of pronouns. That's a big thing with people. The whole pronoun thing. I don't even use pronouns. I never use pronouns and haven't used pronouns for years. I don't say hey miss or hey mister or whatever. I just say hey, how you doing? I mean, there's like no pronoun. There's no right, and there's no pronoun involved at all. When I see somebody say hey, how you doing? What's going on? So you see there's nothing. There's no pronoun. There's no. If I know somebody's name, I say their name. Right? Because I've run into situations before where I actually did not know, and this is 20 years ago, didn't know what gender the people were and misgendered people, and they didn't have a big problem with it and all that kind of shit. It's like a non-issue. It's a nothing burger for people to fight over, because the objective is to get average working people to fight over something, to divide them. That's all. So there's that. But the thing with the issue that Joe Rogan was just talking about,
I was discussing that
what is so the question is, what is the fucking platform? And they're asking, is it a utility? Is it a private party? What is it? And the argument can be made, since it's the second largest website in the world and there is no competition to YouTube, then it basically is a utility. And if it's a utility, if it's a democratized resource, then it should be open to everyone to use. And should be hands off as far as, being able to censor people. So, because hate speech is, and Anna Kasparian agrees with me, probably because she watched my video a long time ago. Hate speech is speech. If you censor hate speech, you're censoring speech. And it's never been done before. Back in the 80s, there were guys walking around with Nazi uniforms on and stuff, and we let them do it because of free speech. Hey, we'll let you, say what you want to say, and, people would go out and fight with those guys and stuff. But you gotta, you have to, somebody's got to be smart enough to go in and explain why racism is stupid. For one thing, because it's class warfare, And there's just so much shit going on with this YouTube thing. So, censorship, and they want to lay it at the feet of the left, and it's not really at the feet of the left either. It's an orgy of different things going on. People trying to get their licks in any way they can. But Donald Trump got elected because he's hitting back. He's the hitman. American workers have been getting their asses kicked by cheap labor from China and cheap Mexican labor coming here doing things like framing and concrete work and stuff like that. And, bad trade deals. Straight up. Bad trade deals. And that was Donald Trump's thing. Oh, we need a better deal. Well, okay, cool. And that's really in the social justice thing where, you can't even be a fucking man anymore. And so he comes along and he's a complete asshole, right? And that just punches a hole through all of that, war that's being, waged on white maleness, and white males are one of the dominant demographics in the country. Right, that's the thing, to alienate them, and then it's sort of a ginned up passion play game or something. It's where do these ideas come from? And I'll tell you something, it alienates women too. The whole feminist thing. I've had women tell me, they would saw a T-shirt about toxic masculinity, and this my girlfriend actually. She says, the problem that I have with that is that she likes men. The problem that she has with that is that she likes men. She doesn't hate men. So, it's just this toxic brew of shit that got ginned up in order to score political points. So, you have to ask yourself what you want out of the deal with that. But anyway, so back to this thing. The question is, when we're talking about deplatformed, there's a lot of ways to do that. And what I've noticed is, and I've been on this platform for a good little while now, since 2012. What I've noticed is the interests that win on YouTube are the interest of the wealthy. The interest of the multinational corporations. That's the interest that gets served. Because I have videos that, for a long time, they were demonetized. For years and years now. They were demonetized 5 years ago, and taken out of circulation. So, and that's how it works. If you say something that just doesn't work, that's not convenient for the people who, for the hegemonic power structure, that those videos get shelved. They get taken out of circulation. Just that quick. So there's some main message that there's something that Joe Rogan is serving up that serves the interests of the hegemonic power structure. And that is the divide. That is this proposed fucking war between ordinary working folks. You know what I'm saying? A war between identity. The identity war that gets talked about all the time. And basically what he just told you is that Jordan Peterson, the Jordan that he was referring to as Jordan Peterson, is on top is winning the war, the identity war. And that serves the interests of the hegemonic power structure because Jordan Peterson basically is telling you how the Stalinist, Leninist, socialist people are wrong. That socialism is somehow connected to this identity politics thing. And it's just not. That's all ginned up bullshit. The left is socialism. And I've seen people on my channel my other channel that have, they're animal rights people that are Trump supporters. And I'm like, well, fuck, man, that's like kind of psychotic because it's all a cart. That's all a cart, man. People they have their interest and they figure out who is going to deliver their personal wants and needs. Donald Trump is delivering to people something that they want. In a lot of ways, and the big thing that Donald Trump is delivering is more power to the people with money. Because when you have more mobility, then your servants are harder to manage. The managers have more of a difficult time. When the economy is bad and people are struggling and people are trying to make ends meet and they're suffering, managers don't have to work very hard. You can have a total dumbass as a manager because all he's got to do is tell you to do some stupid thing, something that makes no sense whatsoever to do. And I've seen it repeatedly because I work for a living. They'll tell you to do something that just doesn't work, and the help, The lower end people will like kill themselves trying to make their fuck ass idea work. So the managers, and then when the underlings, kill themselves to make this fuck ass idea work so that they can keep their fucking job and pay their goddamn health insurance or whatever they're struggling to do, or pay for that child that came along too early, and stuff like that. The manager comes out, the idiot manager comes out looking like smelling like a rose. He gets a bonus. And what do you get? You get a fucking ham sandwich on Thanksgiving, with the company or whatever. Maybe they'll bring in some barbecue one day. And you get to keep your fucking job. You might get a raise, maybe a couple of pennies here and there. But the manager, man, he's rich, and he gets another big bonus because he came down like Adolf Hitler and told everybody some bizarre shit to do that was totally fucking wrong and totally at the wrong time. And some lowerling down there had to figure out how to make it all work. And is getting pancreatic cancer trying to fucking work himself to death to figure out how to fix the fucking dumbass shit that the dumbass in charge came down and told everybody to do. Well, when the economy's good, the fucking dumbass manager can't do that stuff. You can't be a dumbass manager. You have to know what the hell you're doing. You have to come down and know what's going on and tell and your underlings, you can't leave the thinking up to them. See, that's a dirty little secret there, right? It's a lot of stuff going on. So, but to just sort of drill down into this thing that they're talking about, yeah, let everybody talk. But the YouTube, it's all in how the machine works, how it serves up the videos, because certain videos get popped off the stack and you don't ever see them. The videos over here on the sidebar, you can't really. I probably should have done a bigger screen or whatever. But anyway, the videos that you see on the side, your suggested videos, the material that the powerful people really don't want you to see, that sort of, make them uncomfortable or, ruin their game or whatever. You don't see that material. You won't see it. And it's been that way since the beginning. What you see is, like I said, is what they want you to see. So, and so there's really no and the thing you're seeing is the televisionization of YouTube is really what you're seing. The televisionization of YouTube, the television rules are stepping down on YouTube, making it more mediocre, right? Way less interesting in a lot of ways. The most interesting thing on YouTube right now is Joe Rogan, really, that he even touches on anything of, that's that interesting. And people being deplatformed, the only person who's been deplatformed is Alex Jones, and that's because Alex Jones basically cultivated violence. People went out and did messed up stuff to the parents of the Sandy Hook massacre children. So, and Alex Jones was wrong. So, and Joe Rogan says it here, what's the threshold? They're asking, what's the threshold for supposedly deplatforming or kicking somebody off? And that's inciting violence. That's the threshold. Saying, oh, we should go kill so-and-so because so-and-so did this. We should go and kill so-and-so. Fomenting violence, inciting violence, telling people to destroy things. Well, that's the threshold. And it's been the threshold, and it's the law. So let the law handle it. Let the law handle it. Leave their stuff. As a matter of fact, leave their material on YouTube, right? Leave their video up so you can see it. And then maybe put a little notice on there and say, hey, so-and-so's in jail right now because they fomented violence. They incited violence and somebody went and acted on it. And now the blood that gets shed, if you instigate violence on the internet and somebody dies, you're on the hook for that. And you can be sued for it, which Alex Jones was. And what the hell was he doing anyway? I mean, that's just crazy. And that went on for years. He did that. And people tuned into it. And like, what the hell, man? He should have really been, there's stuff that should have happened a long time ago. But and it's really important to point out for people to realize, at this point that, notice that the crackdown didn't start happening. The real crackdown on people didn't start happening until after Donald Trump was elected, right? They elect, and I'm not going to call him right-wing, they elect the corporate hegemonic power structure guy, the establishment guy. Donald Trump is the establishment guy. Make no mistake. You say, well, he's not the no, he's the establishment guy, for sure, no doubt about it. You elect the establishment guy, and after they elect the establishment guy, then they start cracking down on people, and they crack down way, way, way more on people on the left. Gets shelved way more, because if you can go and you can see Steven Crowder, here's Steven Crowder.
Of Change My Mind, unedited conversations on controversy.
1.8859 million views. He just put it up November 13th. That's 5 days ago. Change My Mind. He ain't been deplatformed. His video doesn't seem to be, he doesn't have any monetization on here, but he doesn't need monetization because he's getting his money for doing what he does. The man gets paid or he wouldn't be able to do it. Right? That's a new microphone. There's a banner. He's got a camera crew. And not only that, but you can't see him here. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can see his goons. And he's got about 4 or 5, looks like law enforcement, ex-law enforcement goons that travel around with him. Bodyguard types. I don't know, maybe he doesn't have them anymore. No, he's probably got them. It's hard to see him here. He's got some goons in the background there. You can't see him. That dude there might be going, oh, what's that right there? Look at that. See that fanny pack right there? Doesn't look very goon-like, does he? That's a weapon. That guy's carrying a weapon. Yeah. If that's not a weapon, I don't know what. Or maybe that's one of his guys. I don't know. But see that fanny pack right there? Maybe it's not a weapon, but it sure looks like one to me. He's got some people that look, and as a matter of fact, probably what he did is he got new goons. He got goons that look less goon-like. You know what I mean? Weapons experts that fucking... So this guy's got enough money that he's got goons to protect him, right? Shapiro. Shapiro's on fucking Fox. Fox, by the way, is mainstream, dude. Fox is mainstream. Totally. Fox has had the highest rated news show, news network for 20 years running. Most watched. So that by definition is the mainstream. And Fox, Rupert Murdoch, all that, those people, man, that's the voice of the hegemonic power structure. And now they got their guy in the White House. I'll tell you, they'll say, oh no, he's not our guy, he's your guy. Donald Trump, what he does, Donald Trump does, he goes out and he throws shit out to see what people vibe with. He says, I don't know, we tested it. What was the thing? Shit, I don't even remember. The latest outrage du jour. Drain the swamp. Yeah, we were just testing that. He just went out and said, yeah, we're going to drain the swamp. And everybody went, raw. So he said it again. Yeah, we're draining the swamp. And everybody went crazy. So, and that's how it's all about popularity. So this guy's not being deplatformed. Ben Shapiro's not being deplatformed. Here, let's look at, I got another one for you. Paul Joseph Watson.
Let's just be honest.
Let's just be honest. 279,000 views. When did he put it up? November 15th. That's not bad. But let's look at his channel. He's not monetized either. Let's see here. 279,000, 473,000 6 days ago. 401,000 views a week ago. He's not being deplatformed. And Trump defended him. And you can see what he's got. Why the NPC meme freaks out the left. And he's all about, the right. The soy thing. What about atrazine? Weed killer. Atrazine is weed killer. They're using it on the crops. You probably got atrazine in your oats, in your oatmeal. Atrazine causes frogs to turn gay, which is that's an Alex Jones thing, and maybe the real reason that they got rid of Alex Jones. Frankly, I see the thinking man here. Yeah, sure. So the reasonable thinking thing is the thing on the right. What Joe Rogan was just talking about.
Hierarchies of
Controversial topic.
There's a reason why good ideas.
The reason why good ideas. He's saying that the right and left mold doesn't work. It's a la carte, man. You gotta pick out the stuff. There's ideology. The right and the left being locked into the right and left really keeps us from getting the good ideas in the middle. Keeps us from getting shit done. That's the problem. It's not a problem for the people that are in control, but it keeps us from regulating things. It keeps us from solving the real problems. So, we have to abandon ideology. Totally. A la carte. It's a la carte politics. Tell me what you want. Just tell me what you want. What do you want? The people out in California, you don't want your fucking house to burn down, so you're going to need some forest management. That's true. Donald Trump came out and he said, well, it's bad forest management. There are people who are talking about global warming. Well, no, it's bad forest management. It's not global warming. It's both. What if it's both? So, got to do something about global warming, and you got to have some reasonable, because of global warming, you better have some reasonable forest management, especially around the places where people live. So they're not mutually exclusive, and they're not mutually bad, but because of ideology, people get locked into dumb shit. So we need to get unlocked from dumb shit. And here's another one real quick. CO2 emissions might be just a little bit of a red herring. China figured out that, global warming is a real issue. So they're turning green. And the thing about China is that they sort of they will do dumb stuff for a while, and then they will just totally change. They're able to marshal their country, the people in their country, to change things that are fucked up, that are bad. So they're embracing green technologies and cleaning up their act, because damn, their air is so polluted. It's like absurd. It's an embarrassment. They're embarrassed. So they're cleaning it up. They're doing something about it, right? And most of the methane that's being released is released from rice fields in India and China. It's not really coming from the Arctic. So, you do a little digging and you find out. So there's a lot of scare stuff going on for different reasons, and it's not really helpful. But the big thing about global warming is it's not so much about emissions, it's about land use or land abuse. I'm going to talk more about that on my other channel, but we need to abandon ideology and start talking about what the real problems are. And identity politics is just a poison that just poisons the entire discussion about anything. Every discussion becomes immediately shrill, and you can't get anything done. Nobody can have a discussion about the problems and get to the real solutions and get together. And all that's by design. If it's not the Chinese and the Russians and other foreign nations really actively trying to foment civil war in the United States to make us weaker, to destroy the United States, it's the interest of powerful multinational corporations that want to sort of keep the working people fighting amongst each other so they can't gain any sort of power. So abandon ideology, abandon that identity politics. It's horrendous, and it's all ginned up, manufactured. And that's all I got. My name is R. Crosby Lyles. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this content, please rate, comment, subscribe, and take it easy. See ya.